Let's get right to it here on the topics. Hot topics, as always, are going to start off today. And we're gamblers out there, so I feel the pain of some of these out here, Teddy. Incredible finish in the Marquette-Creighton game last night. If you watch the game and the way it unfolded, like many of us did, depending on where you were shopping, different sports outlets and books, this game looked like it was a wrapped-up winner, Teddy, for those Creighton boys at home, but not so fast, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Blue Jays hit 2 free throws with 8 seconds left to go up 5. You don't lose those games. Okay, you usually cover those games, even if you're laying 3.5. So what happens? Marquette, they miss one shot. They miss another shot. They get the layup. There's 1 second left. All Creighton has to do is inbound the ball. But they turn it over, and lo and behold, Sam Hauser with 0.8 seconds on the clock hits a 3. Next thing you know, it's overtime. Marquette gets the straight-up victory in the extra session. Creighton backers, that's a tough one, no question. My condolences if you laid it with the Blue Jays last night. Beats, yeah, they get tougher than that, but not a whole lot tougher. You're supposed to cash that ticket.
No, and it's going to happen quite a bit. We see it a lot in college basketball here because you don't get the timeout, Teddy, to advance it to midcourt there. So you see a lot of shenanigans late. But the one thing I was even more impressed by, 0.8 seconds, being able to catch the ball at three-point range in the air, land, and then go back up and knock down the 3, which was incredible. I know a lot of people were screaming, it wasn't good, it was good, but goes to overtime. Marquette comes up with the victory. Close second place last night, Teddy. The Seton Hall-Butler game, depending on where you were shopping line-wise, a late 3 ball goes in full court. And again, you can't fault the defense here. What's the number one thing, Teddy, they want to do? Don't foul. You're up 4. Here, have the three-pointer. Splash bottom. We've all been there, Teddy. We've had those beats, but we've also had those ones go our way, right?
Sure, and look, they're inevitable, all right? When you bet on sports, there are going to be some results that come right down to the wire, and you're going to be on the right side of them, you're going to be on the wrong side of them. The key is, as a bettor, you have to be able to handle a tough beat. It wasn't brutal. It wasn't a right side winner. You know, it wasn't, here's a coin flip at the end, and boom, we're on the wrong side of it. Those can and will happen. The worst bettors that I know are the guys who struggle off a bad loss, and the next day they go nuts, or then they try to double up and triple up. And
double down later, Teddy. Come on, double down later. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to happen. You're allowed to be mad. You're allowed to freak out, rip your hair out, yell at something, kick the dog, whatever you want to do. Give it 5 minutes, 10 minutes. By the next morning, you better wake up and be spot on, or you're not going to win long-term betting on sports.
Yep, last thing you want to do is say, I'll never bet Creighton again. You should be looking at the next couple nights because there might be value right back on those. Teddy, when we talk about return on investment as gamblers here, you also have to apply that to organizations as well. The Oakland Athletics' Kyler Murray looks like he's going to think about, or looks like he is entering the NFL draft, a top 10 pick in baseball, $4.66 million check written out to him, which he must give back if he goes. But if you are the Oakland A's front office, that's got to sting. You have to know better, right? Or is it just one of those bad lucks and saying, hey, go out there and have your fun, kid, in your senior season or junior season of football. We'll see you in spring training. All hell breaks loose, and now all of a sudden we're talking about maybe a first-round or even top 10 pick for Kyler Murray. Boy, Teddy, that's a bad beat there for the Oakland Athletics, if this is true.
I mean, the A's have had their fair share of bad beats, but you certainly don't look at Oakland as, this is a bad draft choice. How do they know that Kyler Murray's going to come in and be the best quarterback in college football and go from being, all right, some people were talking about, to, all right, he's going to be a first-rounder in the NFL draft and win the Heisman Trophy, et cetera, et cetera. A's didn't know. You didn't know. I didn't know. Lincoln Riley didn't know. Kyler Murray didn't know. They can't blame Oakland for this, but the bottom line is the A's do not get an extra comp pick if he does choose to enter the NFL draft. And, you know, what's he, 21 years old? Kid can do whatever he wants to do. Football, baseball, it's his choice, not ours. And certainly not the Oakland A's.
No, these bad beats sometimes happen in Philadelphia, Teddy. I know if you go back to the 90s, which, you know, we're a little bit of older guys. We remember J.D. Drew being drafted by the Phillies, #1 overall. Sure, come play with us here. Now I'll just sit it out there, and the Phillies get no compensation back in that. So there is a precedent for teams just saying, hey, look, I'm not going to be able to get this guy underway. Major League Baseball totals, Teddy. I know we saw yesterday Caesars releasing some of the win totals on the season. Always interesting for fodder to try to line up and see who you might get or might be involved with in the Major League Baseball season so you can get over those win totals. Some perceived value in there. We see the really low-level teams like the Baltimore Orioles listed at 59 wins, and they have some teams in the upper 90s. Teddy, it's always important when these come out because there is value to be had is it more likely that you see, you don't want to pick off and say, well, I'm going to go with the Yankees, or I'm going to go with one of the teams, the Astros, at 97.5 wins? Doesn't that mean that everything just about has to go right to hit that number? And if you have one or two key injuries, especially to your pitching staff, you might be looking at some value there. Approaching the season, looking at win totals, Teddy, where's the value at, and is it smart to make wagers on these?
There's a lot to talk about here with these win totals, and I'm going to start with this. First to market, Caesars, they're going to have numbers that are available right now that you will not see anywhere else. The first to market is going to post, they're going to take opinions with every number because there's no market. They're creating the market. And these numbers will move, they will settle, but if you're prepared, if you've done your MLB homework, you got to get your butt down to Caesars or get on your app right now and make some bets, because these are unique numbers. They're freestanding numbers. There is no broader market consensus yet. There will be. And if you can identify a handful of teams that are even slightly mispriced, you're going to get numbers, again, that nobody else anywhere is going to get. That's the advantage of betting at the book that's first to market. You talked about teams that are at the high end. Your teams that are lined at what? The Yankees at 96.5 and the like, the Cubs 89, the Red Sox. The teams that have the ability to buy at the deadline. They have the roster flexibility. They have the payroll flexibility to be potential buyers. I don't worry about betting those teams over. Yeah, okay, somebody key gets hurt. Guess what? They'll get somebody else at the trading deadline. So I'm not shy about betting the higher win totals over where it merits. Of course, the one that stood out to me is the Brewers at 83.5. I mean, when you sign Yasmin Grandal, it means A, you're playing for this year. They signed him to a one-year deal. B, Milwaukee was pretty darn good last year, and 83.5 looked very, very low for the Brewers after that signing to me. So that's one that absolutely jumped off the page for this bettor.
Well, by the way, Teddy, I also want to ask you a quick question on this, because as you bring up Yasmani Grandal being signed there, let's talk about like the big fish in the water, the Manny Machados, the Bryce Harpers. There's still a few hundred free agents that have not yet signed yet because they're waiting for that domino effect for the first two big guys to go off the board and filter down. When looking at some of these win totals, and we always hear like, the White Sox might be in on Machado, the Phillies might be in on Machado, or where Harper is going to go. Having that information or knowledge and taking an intuition shot, is there any value saying, look, I know these guys are waiting for the purse strings to open back up. They're going to add a pitcher or two, going to add a bullpen reliever, maybe a major superstar there. Can you find value in that in the offseason, maybe try to jump a line with one of these win totals?
It's an old Wall Street motto. What's the line? Buy on the rumor, sell on the news? Absolutely. Yep, if you're convinced the White Sox are going to get Machado, you bet the White Sox over now. And if you think that, and then a month from now or 2 months from now, you might have it in the middle. You can bet them back under. Yep. I mean, those situations can and do exist. NFL win total landed in the middle this year, the Buffalo Bills. It does happen, and especially in a situation where a single free agent signing could affect the market significantly. If you got a good rumor and you want to get down on it, you, in theory, will get very much the best of the number, and we'll have all kinds of opportunities with what you want to do later on. You can hold that wager, or you can hedge off it and get an opportunity to cash multiple bets on the same team.
Heading to the association, Teddy, the Greek Freak goes down and crashes the party in Houston, coming in as a road favorite of -2, picking up the win and also the cover in that game. 27 points, 21 rebounds. But the one thing that's just astonishing, Teddy, is we talked about it before on this show as well. James Harden just continues to roll. 42 points and 11 boards last night. Even got a quick whip-around pass from the Greek Freak off of the head. Didn't seem to affect him, Teddy, because he was fine down the stretch, but not enough to overcome. Usage rate for James Harden high. Great win there on the road for the Milwaukee Bucks. Talk a little bit about maybe one or two of these teams, maybe some interesting impacts heading forward, but it's a nice win for the Bucks to go down there and stop a 10-game win streak, home game win streak, for the Houston Rockets here.
Yeah, I had a ticket on the Milwaukee last night. The point spread told you what the right side was. When the Bucks go in there as road favorites in Houston, it's telling you, A, we're taking this game seriously, and B, we're going to show up, which is exactly what they did. James Harden, he's putting up monster numbers. 42 points, 11 boards. Yeah. With the game on the line in the fourth quarter, James Harden does what James Harden does, which is jack up bad shots and miss them. And that's why Houston lost last night, because with the game on the line down the stretch, James Harden not going to say a little bit selfish, but let's just say the offense the ball didn't flow quite the same way that it does for most of the game. For Houston, I'm not a Harden fan. He puts up monster numbers. Greek Freak is the MVP of the NBA right now, and he showed it last night with his team taking care of business in Houston.